Hello and welcome to Astrology News Flash, a quick look at current astrological events. I'm Mallory Key, professional astrologer accredited with the American Federation of Astrologers. I'm here to bring you a special update for this week coming up in August. That's August 10th through the 19th or 20th of 2024. So I will start with sharing the screen. And to understand where these aspects are happening, I've created an update PowerPoint. And so this is the contents that I'm covering today. So it's the current transits, the moon in Leo that we already had, along with Mercury retrograde to review that, and then the Mars-Jupiter conjunction that begins August 10th today. And then the Mars-Jupiter square to Saturn and Venus, the full moon in Aquarius, and then there's two T-squares. I'll just briefly touch on the Lion's Gate too. So I'd like to go ahead and share the current transits for August 10th. And today we have the Sun at 18 degrees of Leo, which is a fire sign. And we have Saturn at 18 degrees, which is in Pisces, a water sign. So these are not 180 degrees apart. They're actually a quincunx, or some people refer to them as inconjunct. But this is not 180, it's 150. And this is creating tension underneath the surface. It's a little bit low-grade frustration and can't do much about it. So you have to kind of deal with it and use your coping, self-care and things like that. But the Sun is our source of life, and Saturn is our structure, stability, and it's also societal structures and government as well as banking. So there's some tension between these two planets. And so we want to look at what that might mean for you, well, what it means for you personally, but on a global scale, there's some tension going on. Now, the Mars and Jupiter conjunction is the big thing. We already had a Uranus and Mars conjunction previously, and I'll show you that as well. But this is another point of reference where we see the god of war conjunct the Jupiter, the king of the gods. So we have the fire sign of the assertive planet of Mars into the benevolent, the largest planet in our solar system, and wherever Jupiter lands, he expands. So he will expand the energy of Mars in this regard. Now, understanding also the moon is in Libra at the time of the recording, but I do have it moving into the sign of Scorpio this evening. So with that quincunx to Saturn and the Jupiter and Mars conjunction with that moon in Scorpio, it's pretty dynamic. It's kind of like a calm before the storm in a way, I feel. So the next thing is Uranus is still at 27 and moved from 26 to 27 degrees, still conjuncting the fixed star Algol, which is the Medusa's head. It's the decapitation. I don't mean to be so graphic, but it's talking about a pretty abrupt energy. Now, with the new moon in Leo that happened on August 4th, I want to refer to this, that's when the sun and moon were conjunct in the sky at 12 degrees of Leo. That is the royalty sign. Again, it's the sign of the lion, and it's fire, and it's fixed. That means that it's in the middle of summer. So anytime a sign is referred to as fixed means that it's in the middle of a season. It is also ruled by the sun, Leo is. So now this is called the dark moon. If you do a ceremony, it's time to go in and find out what do you want to manifest for this moon cycle. So this is a time to plant seeds when the sun and moon are together, and it's new beginnings. And this is the intentions that you set for the new moon. There's also a Mercury retrograde during the new moon, and it happens in the evening, depending on where you're born. This is a transit chart for Nashville, but you have to adjust the time zone accordingly. So this is 4 degrees of Virgo is where Mercury started going retrograde. Virgo is an earth sign, and it's also the sign that Mercury rules, so along with Gemini. This is about the mind, and it's also the nurse, the midwife, the self-care with Virgo. It's also a very detailed sign. This is the nitty-gritty of, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. If you do buy something with Mercury in retrograde, it's okay. Just know that you may have to redo something or revisit it, and you might want to double check any kind of documents or contracts and also verbal agreements that you may be making. So the sun at the moon at the time of Mercury retrograde was still pretty close in the sign of Leo. So the next thing is the August 28th when Mercury goes direct. So we have 3.5 weeks of this. And so Mercury will revisit the sign of Leo, the fire sign from Virgo. The sun will have already passed it, and the moon is now coming up to a new moon. So Mercury being here at 21 degrees of Leo when it stations to go direct. Now, the next aspect is the full moon in Aquarius. This is on the 19th of August, 2024. This is also at the time of the Democratic Convention. Their timing of this particular event is quite auspicious. So, meaning that it's an interesting moment that they picked to have a convention. So I want to briefly go over the full moon in Aquarius, which will be at 27 degrees of Aquarius, and the sun will be at 27 degrees of the opposite sign in Leo. The sun did not come out of Leo at the time of the full moon. So this is when they're 180 degrees apart. We see the moon in the sky, so it's illuminated, and the sun is, of course, our primary luminary. Aquarius is a fixed air sign. That means if you were born during this time of the year, you are a fixed sign in the middle of winter for the Northern Hemisphere. Now, the air sign, people don't realize sometimes that this is not meaning water. The glyph for the Aquarian is not the water, but it's air, meaning that it's frequency, it's information to bring to the masses. Aquarians will get sudden, ideas, sudden inventions, sudden things to be able to share with humanity. And it's ruled by Uranus, which is a quirky planet on its own. It's a rebellious planet. It wants justice for all people, to feel inclusive and part of justice for all. Now, the sun in Leo, again, as we said, it's the fire sign. So fire and water don't really work well. So water quenches fire, quelches fire. So the full moon ceremony, many people will release to allow the manifestations that they made at the time of the new moon, but you have to let go of things to allow room for that manifestation to enter your life. Now, to the other major aspects. July 15th was a very important moment in time. I'm referencing that back to that last month because this is when Mars and Uranus were conjunct. Mars, again, god of war, fire, it's big cities, it's police, it's guns, and it's also assertive energy. Now, Uranus is a sudden change planet. It's out of the blue, didn't see it coming. It's electrified, and both of them are at 26 degrees on the 15th. Now, leading up to that, Mars was actually in orb during the assassination attempt of our former president, and it also kind of warranted the idea that we would have sudden change in Kamala Harris coming up to be the presidential nominee and Biden backing down. So those were sudden changes out of the blue. Jupiter is the one that we're looking at when Mars moves along to conjunct Jupiter. On August 14th, we're going to see the 16 degree of Gemini, where Mars actually is in conjunct to the sign Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. Now, Gemini is the communicating sign. It's the one that is ruled by Mercury and is about communication, documents, contracts. It's also siblings and short distance travel. So Mars is the assertive one. Jupiter expands wherever it lands. The next thing is when Mars and Jupiter are square to Venus and Saturn. This is another part of a T-square that will be coming this is on the 16th when I see Venus moving over as we're building up to this energy. So we have these planets, Venus beginning its opposition to Saturn. Venus is a benevolent as Jupiter is. Venus is about love, beauty, money, and commodities and what we value. And Saturn is about structure, stability, government, foundation. It is our societal structures and our ability to have leaders that govern. So Saturn is also in Pisces, which is a water sign, and Venus is in Virgo, which is an earth sign. Now that works better than fire and water because water nourishes earth. So these two, it's almost like a father telling a daughter what to do. And then we have Jupiter and Mars at a 90-degree angle that will be happening. So this will create a T-square when Venus moves over. On August 17th, we will see more of that exact opposition, closer exact, when Saturn is opposite Venus at 16 now. And now we have the Jupiter and Mars in a predominant T-square. The next thing I want to show you is that the Sun and Mercury are joined. They're conjunct in the sign of Leo. Mercury is about our voice, our will. It's also about what is being communicated to the masses when it's on a global scale. Being conjunct to the Sun, coming backwards as the Sun's moving forward and Venus is still in retrograde at this time, what information is going to be redone, revisited, and reviewed? So we're going to see that T-square along with a 27-degree Uranus that is squared. Mercury and the Sun are squaring Uranus. This creates the next T-square. The Moon will now move over to where it will be opposite of the Sun. And when I show you that slide, that's what is here on the 19th. So the Sun and Mercury will be opposite the Moon. And this is Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus, and that creates your 90-degree angle to both of these. So that is your next T-square. The other T-square we already talked about was that Venus opposing Saturn, and then it makes the T-square with Jupiter and Mars. All this on the 19th of August, 2024. I would hold on to your seats, be aware, be using your intuitive abilities, knowing where you get that gut reaction, and follow in to what you need to be doing this time period. So just be aware of the energies. I have a little, if there was going to be another time to just be a little bit prepped, I would just make sure I had enough gas in my car and also enough groceries and commodities in my home. So that is the big event that's happening this month. It is very, very intense. So just be aware, this is a lot of astrologers are talking about this. I say there is Steve Judd Astrologer, Pam Greggory Astrologer, and then Rick Lavine just did an update as well on Astrology Hub. I would definitely look into the astrologers that are visible in sharing their knowledge with everyone to know what's coming. This is the astrological weather. So this is when you need to know when to have an umbrella, when there is weather, or if it's too hot or too cold. Well, this week, the astrological weather is very, very high and intense. So the other last part, I'll just mention the portals gate for the Lions portal. It was July 26th and it ends on August 12th of 2024. The main pivot point of that was on August 8th. For those of you who follow the Lions Gate, this is when the Earth, the Sun, Sirius, and Orion are all in alignment. So some people follow this and some people just notice a spiritual awakening at that time. According to astrologymag.com, the Lions Gate portal is a powerful and auspicious time, and my cat is saying hello. It's a time in astrology offering a unique opportunity for spiritual growth, healing, and manifestation. By aligning with its energies, individuals can harness its potential to enhance their lives and step into their true power. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you looking at the astrology, and hope this news flash will help you and be prepared for this coming week. And that's Mallory Key Astrology.com. And I do want to say we have a a class on each first Wednesday of the month. It's $25 class for those of you who are interested in seeing and how the aspects affect you personally. And we will use your own birth chart to go over these aspects so you'll understand how the energy might be speaking to you personally. We also have a free astrology update forecast on the last Wednesday of each month to go into hearing what's up ahead. Thank you for watching. Hope you